Hi. So I'm going to be speaking and sharing here from my daily life. So yesterday I was on Reddit in the discussion section, and I was kind of randomly going through there, and someone was posting a question about them liking someone, let's say being in love with them, but that person cannot reciprocate that. They're not interested in them. And they're asking advice about how to let it go. So I decided to actually give my advice, which would be write down the thoughts that you're having. Write down what you're feeling, your emotions, your feelings. Write down everything that's going on within your head. For example, if you're having a thought like, I cannot live without them, life is unfair, why would life do this to me? For example, that thought. And same thing with whatever may be within inside of you, in terms of I feel happy or I feel sad, I feel alone or lonely. And in that context, I said that after writing what's going on within you, to let it go and accept that these are your thoughts and that you can change. You don't have to be thinking them. You don't have to be feeling this. That you can accept that it is your thoughts and that you can let them go. You can stop. And then to immediately write out who you want to be. Write out what you want to do. Maybe write about how you want to focus on your career or on your friends or on dating. Whatever it may be, just be honest on what that is. And so that's the advice that I gave. And here I didn't introduce self-forgiveness. I didn't talk about destiny. It was simply this advice, and I did do it within this, as I suppose an experiment, because I do not know per se how they're going to respond, or maybe they'll find it useful or not. So that's what I did yesterday in that past moment. And I wrote at the very end that this is something that I have done. So you could say it's a way of trying to reach out to people who don't really have tools, because when I read everyone else's suggestions, they were the very much ordinary suggestions of kind of like you have to let it go, you have to move on, it's not going to be good for you. Very obvious things. But, no one's really approaching the mind or emotions or feelings or thoughts as, programs, as an entity, as a thing, as a thing that's automatically moving and cycling and going in patterns and repeating itself. And I am kind of curious how someone who really wants help, could they, approach the mind in this way? In one moment, approach it like how it is, like a program. Write it out, see it, let it go, stop it, change it, and live something new. Obviously, we had the Destiny process and Destiny tools. So this was, one instance. But I guess what I'm talking about more is just in general. I mean, in society and everyday life, like with a psychologist, for example, or if you're giving advice to your friends, you give them this kind of advice that's very specific and detailed, and treating the mind for what it is, a machine, a thing that is very structured and very specific. So it would be kind of interesting, wouldn't it, to use some words or kind of words to illustrate that and describe that. And it's very interesting, the very nature of words, how anyone can use words like how I am right now to describe something that is new and something different that someone else has no idea, really. Someone else doesn't have that experience or the understanding yet. Yet, with words, to be able to have words to describe something like that, That's very interesting, because otherwise, without words, what can you really do? I mean, when it's something that is intangible like that, like, you can't really grab the mind as a kind of physical object and show it to someone, In the same way as you can grab other physical objects to show someone something that's physical. So with words, that's like a way of trying to find a way for someone to understand something which they have no experience per se with. And at the same time, they are drawing from their own experience whenever they're hearing words. When a person hears words, they are using the words that they know, and they're drawing from their experience and seeing in real time what you're saying about the mind. Like how saying the mind is a machine, it moves in patterns, moves in thoughts. And anyone can reflect on that point and see that that is moments that has happened, that you have observed yourself seeing that about your mind, about your thoughts, about how you work, So that's kind of interesting. It's both a point of, I was saying no experience, how a person has no experience, but at the same time, it's about the person's experience. I suppose better word then would be someone that are not having yet that complete clarity, and complete understanding of the mind to the extent where you would, let's say, accept, or I suppose that the word would be accept, that the mind is a machine, it is moving in patterns within thoughts, within energies, and people, for the most part, make all of their decisions and their movements and how they respond based on that. So I guess that is something quite huge to accept, but it's something that not really you have to force yourself to accept. It's simply to open your eyes and see and realize, and just, I suppose, accepting what you see, accepting the truth, not resisting and not suppressing and not hiding it, but just seeing what is actually here and what has actually been your experience inside of yourself, and realizing that everyone else is having that kind of same experience, and this is how we are. And it is true that there is a level of extrapolating one's own experience onto others, but that is okay, because when you communicate with other people and talk to them and share about what's going on with your mind and they share what's going on with their minds, you're able to see the patterns, how we are all the same, we're all doing the same thing, and the mind's moving in the same ways. And that is why it's so important to communicate and to do blogs and to share, to write and have that history, and read other people's blogs and vlogs. And it's a way of learning, it's a way of cross-referencing and understanding, and it gives you that necessary clarity and trust, because there is that limitation when it is just you alone, yourself. You don't have that cross-reference. So that was a moment from yesterday, and this was some reflections on that moment. And here I am right now, outside. And I think that was pretty good, right? Pretty good video. So I guess I'll end it there. Have a good one. Bye.